You're listening to the Hella Well with Danielle show, a podcast taking women of color on a journey exploring all things wellness and travel related. We're all about showing you how to put on your oxygen mask first and creating lasting self-care habits that will free you to travel the world and live the life you truly desire, and not one you have to fake loving. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. Now let's buckle up and start this journey. Hello, and welcome everyone to the Hello Well with Danielle podcast, and welcome Jeff to the show. Thank you for being here.
Good to be here.
I am super excited to have this conversation with you because you are the one who hooked me to Cmos. I'm like, what the freak is Cmos, and why are people, so eager about it, and why is everyone buying it? Why is it in everything I see? So before we even get started, can you tell people who you are a little bit, but also like, how did you even get involved in Cmos, and what is Cmos?
Right. Okay. So just giving a brief background of myself, I'm Jeff Austin, aka Plant-Based Jeff. It was like, I need to heal myself, and I can't wait on a hospital or, Western medicine to do it. I was like, I got to do it myself. I'm my best doctor, and started to go down the road and finding information, followed Dr. Sebi a lot. I watched a lot of his videos, Dr. Africa, a lot of different holistic healers. And I just studied these people like crazy. Then I need to learn this stuff and how to eat right and how to fast and how to detox. And coming from Mississippi, that was like, these were things that was not even heard of. Before vegan, before I mentioned it, people were like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
Like when I went back home, they were like, what the hell is a vegan? I was like, oh, this and that. And they were like, so you can't eat fish?
Is that a new religion?
Yeah. I was getting all kind of crazy questions. So
how did you get into Cmos? Again, when I think of Cmos, I'm thinking I love being a beach, and I'm thinking about that little nasty algae that you see that washes up that you don't want to be next to, you're trying to get away from. And I don't see it and think, oh my God, this would be great for my body. How did you discover Cmos, and what is Cmos? Can you explain it to people?
Gotcha. Yeah, so Cmos is a algae. It's a sea algae. It looks similar to what you would see on the beach, which is like seaweed and whatnot, but that's not Cmos. Cmos is a little more thicker, the texture, and they have different species. So you'll know it. If you're a Cmos person, you can definitely eyeball it and be like, okay, that's seaweed. This is Cmos.
Okay.
So I picked it up from being in the holistic world. I heard Dr. Sebi talking about it. I heard everybody in the conscious community. If people don't know, like Atlanta has a strong, deep, large, holistic conscious community, like in the West End. HBCUs over there, Spelman, Morehouse, Clark, all of that's concentrated. It's just like a real life Wakanda, like when we say Black excellence, just Black everything. So, but it's becoming gentrified, so it's not really Black everything anymore.
Welcome to America.
Right, exactly. So I heard about everybody talking about it in that conscious community. It was like a well-kept secret. No one was really trying to put it out there, when it came to like marketing. Even people that I meet now, was traveling. I was in Mobile, Alabama, and I met a guy that serves like alkaline foods and all of that, has a food truck. But hey, let me get you on camera. He's like, no. He's like, I just keep that, and people, they're real scared. Like holistic people are real afraid. Like after what happened with Dr. Sebi dying, people really do have a fear.
So I don't even know who this Dr. Sebi is, and he's dying. Right. And you're telling me he's talking about Cmos. Did he die of Cmos?
No. Okay. So Dr. Sebi was like the Black Moses for Black health, like back in the day. I would say like in the 90s and the 2000s, because he passed I want to say like 6 or 7 years ago. But he was a holistic guy that was known like back in the 80s for helping people heal them from, cancer, AIDS, herpes, all of these things that people said, oh, this is uncurable. Yeah. He felt like based on your diet, if you were to eliminate the mucus, and start eating more alkaline foods. And when you start eating more alkaline foods, that will open up your oxygen more so you can get more
Yeah.
oxygen in. And where oxygen is in an alkaline environment, the disease cannot exist. So that was kind of like his basic philosophy. And he had a list of foods that you could eat. He had a list of herbs to take. And he had a company named after him. And,
But
he
how
was
did he
healing a lot of
die? How did
people.
he die? How did he
Well,
die?
what happened was he got caught up in a money laundering scandal. He was coming from the United States back to Honduras, his home, and people were saying the government had an eye on him because he beat like a Supreme Court case where he like supposedly reversed AIDS in like 50 some people, like, and they came and showed up like, hey, here's my test. Shifted the mindset of the African American community. I feel nothing he was saying was really new, but it was new to us
Jeff, I'm
because
going
it
to
was
kill you if you don't tell me how this man died in less
oh,
than
okay,
one
okay, I'm
minute.
going all the way around.
I was
Okay,
like,
so
I'm going to shoot
all right, let me
you.
get to
If
it.
you guys aren't
Okay,
seeing me
so
on camera, I'm like literally low key, like giving him the eye, like, seriously, dude, how did this man die? Is it a
okay,
conspiracy? Do I
so
need to go on Wikipedia?
yeah. So some people say it's a conspiracy, but he was coming back from the United States with a lot of cash on him. So supposedly he had like, I forgot how much. It was over the $10,000 limit. That where they can't,
Yeah, would they check you?
question you. Right. So he had all of this money. They took him into custody. Mind you, he's like 80 years old, and he's been like all over the world just giving this message like anti-Western medicine, anti-government. He like, like all of that stuff is a lie, that type of stuff. And he didn't go deep into that side, but he was just basically saying we've been lied to, we're eating wrong. So they took him into custody, and like within like 2 weeks, he passed away. And some of the people said, hey, he was killed in jail by the government because they didn't like the fact that he was helping Black people heal themselves. He was providing knowledge. Other people, even the family, said, no, that wasn't the case. He was old. Also, he was without his herbs. Like a lot of people don't realize, like people like myself, we take different herbs and you have proper food. Food is your medicine.
Yeah.
So if you're not getting that and you're deprived of that, you will quickly slip into decline, especially like if you're 80,
Yeah, that
but
makes sense. Yeah.
but yeah,
So with the
so that's
CMOS,
pretty much his story. Yeah,
all right, so I have some of your CMOS pills here. But before we get into
gotcha.
CMOS pills, I wanted to get into this here, which if you guys are watching the camera, this is a package of CMOS I got from Jeff, plant-based Jeff. And I'm looking at this and this thing scares me. I'm not gonna lie. I've been looking at this package. I don't know if it even expires because I'm freaked out to do something with it. Like it just doesn't look user friendly and it doesn't look like something I would want to eat. So would you just eat this just straight out of the pack and like just, snackety snack or
No, you wouldn't. If you can see on the package, it has a QR code. So when you scan that QR code, it takes you to the video that shows you how to make it, like step by step. So what you would do was basically it's a process where you clean the sea moss, rinse it off, you soak it, it rehydrates. And once it rehydrates, you would put it in a blender, blend it up, it turns into a gel. And that's a popular way that most people take it, but it's not the only way. So some people like the capsules. Some people like, I don't want to go through all of that. And holistic people, that's what we grew up, or in a conscious community, you make your own CMOS gel. Like, you may buy it from somebody every blue moon, but normally you make your own.
but what are you using the
So
gel? Like if so I know some people use the gel and they put it in their smoothies. Are you actually taking a teaspoon or a tablespoon of the gel and just eating it straight? Would you?
yes. So normally when you make the gel, you will put some key lime in it, so that will help to alleviate the taste and bring it, just make it more normal or acceptable to eat. But some people they still say, "Oh, I can taste a little bit." Some people are just more sensitive than others. Some people say the purple they can kind of is more of a sweet taste versus the gold. The gold is known as not having so much of a seed taste to it, but if you soak it with cinnamon sticks and some key lime, that really helps the purple. But yeah, you just take it by mouth. You can use it as a face mask, so it's something that you can utilize internal and external. So people use it as a face mask because it has the minerals in there, so it seeps into your pores and it gives you a good glow. So and also helps with complexion issues, eczema, all of that. And some people even use it as a hair mask as well. I do all of that. So I'll take
Wow.
one day, or I'll put it here. I'll wash my hair out real good and, unclog my hair pores, put that in and just let it all dry up. And in like 20 minutes, wash it all out and then put all of my oils and all that stuff back on my face and hair. And it exfoliates toxins from the skin. So it's known from that, but also the properties from taking it by mouth, because it's known for reducing mucus and eliminating mucus from the body. And that's one of the things Dr. Sabi and a lot of holistic doctors mention, that like mucus is the like one of the number one killers. Because like if you got too much mucus in, like your lungs, you got like bronchitis and all this stuff. You got too much inflammation in your joints, you got arthritis. So a lot of these things are thought to be caused from inflammatory foods. Meat, the corn, the grains, the sodas, the sugar. And with that, inflammation causes sometimes excessive mucus as well. And when you have too much mucus, it's hard for you to get the oxygen that you need, because, you got people that just, they swear it's their sinuses and allergies. Like that was me. Like, and I was like, never did I think, what am I eating? And when I started
Yeah.
eating right, I started breathing better. And I was like, man, I'm not stopped up. I'm not having sinus infections. I'm not having, and that's one of the main things. Sorry about that. People are trying to call me and stuff. That's the main thing with COVID. Too much mucus. That type of deal. I know doctors in the hospital, they utilize Cmos. They can't per se make their patients take it, but themselves personally, registered nurses, doctors, they're taking Cmos because they are having to, I don't know if they're still doing this, they probably are having to flip like certain COVID patients because
Yeah.
they have so much mucus on them. Like they have to literally turn them over to get them relief and then like turn them back over. So mucus is a bad thing. It's needed, but excessive mucus is what causes a lot of issues, and we get a lot of that every day through smoking, alcohol, all of that. When you start getting congested, sometimes it's just all about what you're eating and drinking.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. Like I remember when I first found out that I had I call it allergy because it's easier to tell people I have an allergy when it's just a food intolerance. But to soy and corn, like when someone first told me, I saw a kinesiologist and he told me about it. I was like, "You're lying." I'm like, "I'm fine. I love me some Mexican food. How dare you tell me I can't have corn?" But I
Right.
remember being in Vegas for work and I was tired and we went for sushi and I was so tired that I didn't get a drink. Typically, I would have a drink at night. I woke up the next day like I had the worst hangover slash like
Wow.
um what's the thing where you hit your neck? I forgot what it's called, but whatever it is. It's like you have like when you get in your car accident.
With the
And
whiplash.
thank you. I'm like having a moment
Okay.
today. So it felt like whiplash mixed with the worst hangover ever. And I'm like, and I had no alcohol. And that's when I was a believer. I'm like, oh, this is what it feels like. But all the other times when this would happen, I would think, oh, I just drank too much. Oh, I must have had too much alcohol or drank the wrong thing. Now it's whenever, so corn syrup, anything soy based, my rest in peace tortillas, like I can't eat them. Like I definitely
Right.
could tell my body's like, no. And as I eat more healthier, like so a little bit over a year now, I did ayahuasca which was
Okay.
amazing for me. And it also helped me change my diet. Like I stopped eating meat, but not because I'm like, oh, I want to be healthier. Stop eating meat because it made me sad. Like I felt really one with animals. And so like I just start crying or the thought or got sick of the thought of even eating meat. But I've noticed the difference in my body. And then so after doing that a little bit more, and I had heard about the CMOS. I was like, oh, let me try the CMOS thing. One of the things I heard, people talk about is that it gives you more energy. And can you
Yeah.
talk about that? Because I feel like that I definitely noticed the difference in that.
Yeah. So my deal with CMOS, it always works quicker, faster, and better when you have a clean diet. So people like yourself, when you remove like the starches and the corn and the grains, you can see effects a lot faster than somebody that's eating cheeseburgers, processed foods. They can notice a little pickup and stuff, but when you're eating clean, it's almost like a supercharge almost. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you got the Tesla, let's charge this battery up. And like the CMOS is like, that's the battery. So yeah, it does help with help with energy because what you're doing, you're getting essential minerals. So it's said to have like over 90 some minerals and located, inside of CMOS, that being a property of it, a multi-mineral food. It's really called a superfood. So when you get the minerals that you need and you're not deficient in iron, you're not deficient in potassium, you're not deficient in zinc and all of these other essentials. These are like everyday things that you need in your body to function. When you are getting supplemented with all of those, it naturally boosts your energy. You see what
Yes.
I'm saying? Because now you got what you need to operate. You're not operating on half a tank now. You got a full tank. You're eating right. You're drinking plenty of water. And that's why, I stuck with the name Plant-Based Jeff because I'm an advocate of eating right first. Because I don't like people just selling CMOS. I'm like, you're not telling people what to eat. So it's not gonna work. It's like you're giving out free combs and you're not giving a tutorial on how to comb your hair. It's just like, hey, there you go, figure it
Good
out.
luck.
You know,
Why
yeah,
did it
yeah,
break?
good
I
luck.
don't know.
Right, right. So that's what separates me from a lot of retailers because I emphasize that because people will push CMOS, they will repost out the Savvy videos and they will say, oh, it can do this and do the little memes and stuff. But I'm like, people aren't actually realizing that if they're not eating right or drinking proper water. It's just like you're just flushing it down the toilet, garbage in, garbage out. You got to be halfway eating good so that you can get those minerals when it hits. But if you're eating processed foods and too much alcohol, I say everything in moderation. Like I
Of
don't knock
course.
anybody for whatever they do. If you want to smoke weed, if you want to do cigars, all of that stuff, just mind you that hey, you got to put a limitation on those things. You just can't go all in on that stuff because you need more good stuff than the bad stuff. It's just, the law of the universe. You
Yeah.
want to be like heavy on this side and say, hey, I'll play on the weekend. I go get, a piece of fish or whatever, a piece of dessert, play, live your life. But at the same time, you need to be eating right. And then you'll see those results like within a week. People always ask, how long does it take? I said, in a week, you'll know. Your body will know. You
No,
you
you
will
definitely could
know.
tell the difference when I first started doing it. What was interesting for me is like around the same time I was doing it, and I never went back to go get checked. I also got diagnosed as being anemic, and that's
Right.
been kind of painful because for some odd reason, I can't take iron pills because every time I take an iron pill, I get sick. So,
I got something for you.
so what do you got, Jeff, for me? I
Yeah.
see something, a
Yeah.
box.
So you got a few options. Dark green leafy vegetables, kale, spinach. Incorporate those in every way possible. Grab a few, put them in your smoothie. When you're eating whatever in lunch, I put them in everything. Like I'm like, I just keep kale and spinach because I'm so mindful
You
of
put it in
like I
everything.
gotta
When you
get
say you
this
put it in
iron.
everything, what is something random that you put kale or spinach in that people wouldn't think of?
like a bowl, like if I do a stir fry, if I did like a stir fry and said, hey, if I had quinoa, onions, tomatoes, cucumber, and I just do like a stir fry,
Hmm.
I'll just stick some
So what's like a
kale or
kale
spinach
or
in that.
spinach snack that you would make that people wouldn't think of as a snack?
I got a weird snack. So normally I would take some dates. And I
Okay.
love dates. Dates are like super sweet.
I
And I
like
would like
dates too,
just
but I
kind of
can't
cut
seem to
them up.
find one.
Oh yeah. Good one. Yeah. Yeah. So I would take dates and kind of chop them up and just kind of wrap them up in kale and just pop them because I'm like, I don't like the greeny taste, and
Yeah.
I love the dates. So it's like I'm satisfying a sweet tooth, but I'm like, I gotta get this greens in some type of way. So that's a weird combo that I do with like dates and kale. Um, but I put it in everything, like every meal. And people don't know chlorophyll is like a natural internal deodorizer as well. I'm not saying don't go around and don't wear deodorant. I'm just saying that it does help with internal cleansing, and it could help meat eaters out a lot because a lot of times when people eat meat and it breaks down and stuff, people don't know like that comes through like the
The
pores. It's
pores and
gonna
all
get
stuff like
out.
that. Yeah.
Right. Right. So dark green leafy vegetables, um, beans. Beans are high in iron as well.
Hmm.
This is a supplement right here you can get from Sprouts, and I'm not like affiliated with them.
Sprouts. Oh, that's
GAIA
Sprouts is the grocery
herbs.
store, right?
Right. Right.
Okay.
And I don't know, or it may be out in your area. I'm thinking, but
So
yeah.
this
So
is
this is
Gia
liquid iron.
Herbs Plant Force Liquid Iron. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So a lot of people advocate for this. A lot of holistic teachers and healers, they will tell you like the best way to get your iron is through liquid, this way, or just eating it too.
Yeah.
But like a liquid form versus the pill form, because most of the time the pill form leads to like constipation, and people don't absorb the iron. A lot of people don't know it's different rules to the games. Like that's why they put like elderberry and some other stuff, because iron is best absorbed when you're taking vitamin C. So like if you're taking iron, you need to be like doing an orange or something like that. And all of that is in this already. So it's naturally absorbed at a higher rate than the iron pills. The iron pills is just a hustle.
Yeah, I've tried
Hey,
it
take
and
these
it just
iron
didn't
pills.
work for me. Yeah, iron
Yeah,
pills and iron besties.
yeah, what I'll
Nice.
do.
So, in my research, and you talked about it a little bit as well, there's different types of CMOS. So when you're looking to buy CMOS, how do you know which one's better? Is purple better than gold? Is there another color out there? And what is Irish CMOS? And what's the difference between that and these purple ones?
Right, right. So, good question. So, there are different forms of sea moss. There are different colors. You got gold, you got purple, you got some that's green, you got a multi that's a mix of gold and purple. Um, and the way that you determine if it's good quality, it also depends on the source. Sea moss is coming from everywhere now. Like before, it was like just Jamaica and St. Lucia. Like
Hmm.
that's all we know. And now, like the Virgin Islands, they've gotten in on the mix. Like anybody that has an ocean that they're near, sea moss grows all over the world. So they're all tapping in. Vietnam, they're in the game, but typically I found that their quality is like low quality, but they do sell it, and it's like it stinks, it's damp, it's dirty, but it does get circulated in rotation. A lot of people buy it off of Amazon. They're the lower tier priced CMOS, because I
Oh,
always tell
so
people you
mental
get
note,
what
if
you
you see the
pay
lower
for.
tier price one, you might want to check the source before buying it.
Yeah, anything under $20, you need to be like really doing a side eye at. But some people they like that. You got a different market for everything. So you got people that want to get it as cheap as possible.
But
And
quality
they
does
buy it.
matter, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah. Cause so if you got dirty sea moss, it's a representation of either the drying process or the actual waters that it came from. because it's a lot of times depending on where it's harvested. That's why so many people love our sea moss, because it's from uncharted waters. So like where they're harvesting our sea moss, commercial boats don't come in there.
Okay.
So like if you're in like Taiwan and Vietnam, you got boats, ships, ports. So you're getting pollution and all of that all mixed up with sea moss, So the source is a major thing, and you got to ask people like, hey, where does this come from? Until you like get to my level and you start. I've seen so much sea moss, I can tell where it's from.
Okay.
Oh, that's from Grenada. It's almost like weed. Like it's a deep game. Like it's a real deep game. So you
So
got
not
to
a
know like
weedologist,
your
you're a mossologist.
right. So it's a lot of different strands of sea moss, so different species, and you got to know them. But as a consumer, get with a reputable seller, preferably us, because we're like one of the number one educators in the game. So I give people and I equip them with information that even if they didn't buy from them, from me, from our company, they could still make an educated decision.
Yeah.
So I like to just give value. So if we don't do business on that end, you'll remember that. And you'll say, hey, when I release a detox, CMOS detox book, or whatever type of book that I'm releasing, you're like, let me check this guy out, because he gave me the information. He gave me a nugget. And
Yeah,
that's
no, I
what we
totally
got the
agree with that.
blog. Yeah. Right,
Um,
right.
so yeah, so with and I agree with the who you buy with, and I think it is definitely important because I didn't realize until kind of watching your videos and things that you do that I'm like, oh, it matters where you get it from. Because I was seeing that you can get CMOS. I didn't realize you can get it from like Thailand, other place like that, but I was like anywhere on the Atlantic, all from Canada down, you can get it. And I'm like, well, okay, that's interesting. And I'm like, and then there's these colors, and I'm like, there's like it's like Skittles of sea moss. I'm like, well, which one is the right color?
Right,
And I like the color purple, so I'm like, I'm going with purple.
right.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
like,
A lot of people like purple because it's rare. You don't see as much purple, so
yeah,
a lot of people go for it for that exotic look, like, oh, it's pretty, that type of deal. But it's just as powerful. When you go to the islands, most people, they vouch for the purple over everything. They feel like that's like the be all. Like, yeah, the
yeah.
gold is cool, but they like this purple, since it's rare. The locals believe it's stronger as far as in nature, potent and helping people cure stuff. So
Speaking of potent, I heard a
mhm.
little rumor, and I'm sure you know where I'm going with this one, is that sea moss can actually help with sexual situations and stamina and et cetera, et cetera. Can you
Oh yeah,
expound on that?
yeah. So it definitely can. I am a witness because I did have some issues prior to going plant based. So I was like, wow, this stuff really works. So yeah, not in Africa, but like in Jamaica and the Caribbean islands, it's known like as a natural aphrodisiac. They have like different drinks, like sea moss drinks, little rum tonics and stuff that the men take, and it's they swear by it, like, oh, it gives you a strong back, just keyword for like it,
Back.
better for, yeah. So better for arousal, better for erections, like nature's Viagra in a sense. And it's actually true when you break down the science behind it,
Is
because
it,
most
wait,
of the
is it only good
time
for
men,
men or is it good for women as well?
no, it's good for women too. A lot of women have made claims that the lubrication is better down there. The juices flow a little better. A lot of women, they get feedback based on that. And the reason why is CMOS, it goes all back to inflammation. Like when you have ED or erectile dysfunction in men, based on the foods and their lifestyles and the cigars and the Hennessy, all that stuff catches up with you. So that penile, that the blood flow to the penile starts to shrink. So that's all Viagra does. When they pop the Viagra, it's science. It's gonna open that gateway up temporarily for 3-4 hours, producing an erection. So the same thing with CMOS. If you're taking CMOS, normally that will reduce the inflammation, which will help with better blood
Yeah.
flow. Better blood flow means harder, longer erections. So it's natural, you know, if you're doing what you're supposed to do and taking it like on a daily basis. But I'm a witness to it. Like it works. It really works. I'm, I wouldn't push anything that, I'm also a client too. What was the commercial about that?
I'm not
The
only the
head
client of
guy.
the president too, whatever the balding
Yeah,
guy was.
yeah, yeah. I'm with it. I take the CMOS. I swear by it. It works for me to this day. And I've never had to pick up Viagra or any kind of enhancement or take a shot and say, oh, let me get right. Like I'm already right naturally,
I
because
love
I
it.
got my herbs and the food and all of that. I don't need the extra man-made stuff. So it does work. A lot of people swear, but that's like one of the top things that people give us feedback on. Is like sex, the bedroom, the energy, and helping with sinuses, and in some cases with some women, with their thyroid, regulating the thyroid because this has a lot of natural iodine in it. So
Yeah.
depending on if you got hyper or hypo, I forget which one applies to which. It can help with that as well.
No, that's great. And so, like, I know you said you take it every day. Is there a point where you could take too much sea moss? Is there ever too much moss in your life?
I would say with anything, you got to do it in moderation. I felt like sometimes I had to take a break. Like I'm like, man, like I'm on overdrive. I do take breaks. Like I do say, hey, I want to do CMOS about 3 days or whatever. And that's with anything that I take. You
Yeah.
shouldn't do everything just constantly except, fruits, water, and, veggies, fruits, and water. Now that I advocate for every day. But like even with CMOS, I take a break sometimes. I may just be too turned up for the week, and like I need to relax. Like
Well, how do
maybe
you
I
know
need to
you need
lay
to
off on the
stop
CMOS.
doing the CMOS? Like, what are indications? You said you're too turned up. Like, are you feeling
Just
something?
having too much, having too much energy, or if you feel like your sex drive is disturbing your daily, like, hey, I'm just too wired, some things like that. For some people, it's like that's what I want, but I'm like, you don't know until you experience it. You be like, hey, now come on, like I need a break, like, dude. Like sometimes I'm like, hey, are we on the same page? Like I got work to do, I got stuff to do. I can't do this all day.
You're
So
you're you're getting me so eager to be like a CMOS addict for like a week to see what like see what exactly occurs with my different parts of my life.
yeah.
Is there any like dangers to or any side effects that people typically have with CMOS? Like I haven't experienced anything, but I was just curious, were there any side effects?
I haven't heard of any to date. I do tell people like if they have like seafood allergies or something, they may want to be careful because
Yeah,
I
that makes
mean
sense. It's from the sea.
it's in the sea. Yeah, it's in the sea. It's not seafood, but you got fish swimming past it. So I don't know. Like so, I always tell people just be mindful of that. Like this is a natural substance from the
Yeah.
earth. So just be mindful of that. And like if you do have any kind of allergies, and that's why I created the food journal because I wanted people to track what they're eating and stuff so that they can look back and say, oh, okay, I started CMOS on Tuesday. This started to happen on Wednesday. Maybe it was that, maybe it's counteracting with something else like some medication. I tell people, this is still natural, but if you're taking medication, you never know what crosses with what.
And so you talk about something really interesting. So I'm like trying to figure out which way I want to go, but I'm gonna go this way. Um, so you've talked about the food planner, and I know a little birdie told me that you have a book that was just released this week, or you have a couple books that are being released this week.
Right.
Do you want to talk about kind of some of those books and like why people should be getting these books and what education they're going to get from them?
Right. Yeah. So I appreciate you bringing that up. So these books, I feel, are like the foundation to transition into this lifestyle. So, my whole premise is a plant based lifestyle and also incorporating sea moss and other herbs as you get to learn them, because I speak about that in my online course. I do Cmos. That's like my primary, but I do other herbs too. Like if I need to detox, I can pull in burdock root or yellow dock and some other stuff that you can learn about. So the books that I have a 7-day CMOS detox book that'll be available on Amazon. It will be available by the time this is released. I have a food planner and tracker. So to kind of plan your meals out, I think we put a few recipes in there as well. And also just to track your daily, it's like a journal. Like,
Yeah, well, you think you need
and when
that.
you're going on this diet, yeah, you need to look back. If you took any medication or anything that interacted, you can see that in your tracker. I have a plant-based meals, 15 minutes or less. So meals that I do that are quick, easy, anybody can do. If I can do them, you can do them. I'm telling you, like these meals are made for these are no-brainer meals, healthy meals, just full of stuff that you like, but it's all plant-based, you know. I have those 4 books that will be on Amazon, but they will also be on my website too. So if you buy some sea moss, you may get an offer at a discounted rate to get, the sea moss detox book. So it'll be available ebook format and hard copy as well.
Definitely. We'll make sure to put the resources in the show notes for both your website and for the Amazon link. Congrats on being an author.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
as an author myself who never talks about her book, and I'm like, I love when I talk with other authors. It's amazing, and I appreciate that you are sharing this information with other people. And so, just to kind of recap, you need to, when thinking about, there's different types of CMOS. And so
Right.
there's not one that's better than the other, but it sounds like purple is deemed a little bit as the higher class version.
Yeah, it
Um,
depends on the location is the main deal. Like
yeah.
I prefer Caribbean based. Like we get ours from it's sourced from Saint Lucia, but you do have Jamaica that's in the mix. You got the Virgin Islands, Grenada. Everybody's doing it. Trinidad and everywhere. So I prefer Saint Lucia because I know the people down there personally.
Yeah.
So when you have a direct connection, it's not like a middleman to a middleman to a middleman. It's like, okay, you can show me some video of you
Yeah.
all pulling it out the water, like
So
that type of
location is the
connection.
most important thing, then the type.
Yeah, the location and the waters. And a lot of people won't ask that, like, do boats come through that area?
Oh,
So
yeah.
so if it's yeah. So if boats come through that area, you got more likely chances of toxic and pollutions that could be mixed in there.
Okay.
So you would ask about that, but a lot of people won't ask that question. I would say just ask where it's from because based on that, you could kind of tell. Okay, I know Jamaica; they have some ports and stuff. I know St. Lucia's kind of not tapped and some of the other islands, and give you some pictures and photos and stuff. So
So that's good to know. So it's location. If you can ask more about like, what the water transportation, what's going on there, then it's the type. And then once you get it, you can get it in the different forms. So you can get it in capsules, you can get it in its natural dried out form, and then you get it in powdered form as well, which I've had the powder form. That is some nasty ass stuff. I tried that just in water. I'm like, there's no. I put it with water. I put it with this other superfood stuff I have. I'm like, no, there's no masking this flavor. This is some funky stuff.
oh yeah, it is strong. The powder, you will have to really like bake it in something, or it's different ways you could work with it, but it's kind of real hard dealing with it. Just water and the powder, it gets kind of clunky and
Yeah. I've noticed
all of
all
that
those
stuff.
things, which is why I went back to the pill form. So you have pill, powder, then you can make the gel. Once you have the gel lasts usually for what, 5 days or so?
About 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, the gel
Refrigerated.
lasts 3 or 4
Yeah,
weeks. Okay.
yeah. Refrigerated. I tell people to always start really monitoring it like around week 3 because I
Okay.
mean this is still natural food, so it can spoil, it can get mold. But if you utilize key limes, which is a natural citric acid, it can help with some preserving it some.
And how do
So
you know when the gel is past due?
you, from it's just like milk. It'll have a bad smell. It'll
Okay.
have a real bad smell, or will physically see green mold or black mold. I've
Okay.
seen I've seen it all. So, but
Okay.
most people consume it within that time. But people who aren't as disciplined, I say get the capsules because you know, hey, you're gonna be checking your refrigerator in 2 months, saying, "Oh, I can take my CMOS when your friends come out," and it's got fuzz on it. I'm like, no, you can't do that.
Okay. That's good to know. That's good to know because I am
Yeah.
going to try this. I've been looking at this. I was like, I can do the gel, especially when you start talking about using the gel for face mask, detoxing your hair as well. And so I think that's a great. I never thought about the external, or didn't even know about the external uses of it. Um, yeah, so I love this. Is there anything else that before we kind of wrap up that people need to know about CMOS before even considering buying it or when using it, that will help them out?
Yeah. So the different ways you could utilize it. So we spoke of a few ways. You can put it in hot teas. So if you got the CMOS gel or the capsules, you can open up the capsules and put it in some hot tea and dissolve both in there. Some people like to rehydrate the actual CMOS like you have there, clean it off and rehydrate it. And instead of blending it, they would just like cut it up and put it over their salads. Some people like to do it that way. You could also incorporate it in your juices. So if you're doing a cold press, or even if you buy like a cold press juice from your local wherever, a juice shop, you can put some of the capsules or the gel in there, shake it up real good, and boom. Another way is some people use it. I know in the holistic conscious community, they utilize CMOS gel a lot in different desserts. So when they do a raw pie, like they may do a raw mango pie or a blueberry pie. I know somebody does like with the raw flaxseed and dates as the crust. And they do coconut and some other stuff, blueberries, and they would use CMOS to kind of hold that together versus eggs.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so you can utilize it in soups, hot soups. So anything really hot, you can put the CMOS gel in there. It'll dissolve in there, and boom, you got your minerals, and you're eating it with the food, and it's virtually undetectable. And you can do the same thing with the capsules as well. So just wanted to let people know it's so many different ways. Since it's edible, you just get creative. And I'm going to release something like a guide just to kind of help people because I see this as a frequently asked question. So I'm like, let me serve the people. Like, here are the 10 best easy ways to utilize CMOS. So I just named a few. So, and in smoothies, people love them in smoothies. So you can toss the capsules or the gel right in the smoothie directly. It gets blended up. Boom, you get your minerals, your CMOS intake that way. So all
I
types
love
of
it.
ways.
I love it. So this was helpful for me because part of the reason why I hadn't used the actual real CMOS, and I didn't know you can actually take the capsules apart and put it into stuff. But then I was like, well, I don't know how to do it. I'm like, I don't really do smoothies. I'm like, am I just gonna eat this like gel thing? And I kept looking at it. I'm like, what if I mess up? What if I forget and leave it in soaking 2 days? And so I kept making excuses. So we're no more excuses.
More excuses.
We're going to get
Right.
further into this, and I appreciate you coming on and really kind of explaining why we should be looking at CMOS, what are the benefits behind it, how to use it, and how to purchase it. And we'll make sure that people know how to purchase it from you and to get that book, those books on eating better and tracking your food, because I think that's so, so important. And I'll make sure to put in your social media as well, into everything as well. But before I leave, I always like to ask my guests like a quick fire question. So whatever comes to
Okay.
mind first, just say whatever comes to mind. Again, this is an
Gotcha.
adult show, so I know you're not the swearer, but if something comes to mind, comes to mind. You ready?
Right. I got you. Uh
Okay. So what does living hella well mean to you?
huh. Financially and just healthy. Being healthy. Having your health. That's what that means to me.
Love it. Aisle or window?
Owl.
had to think about that. I'm like, you're tall. Why would you go for the window? What is always in your travel bag?
Cmos capsules.
Good answer. Good
Always.
answer. And so, one part of what we're doing here with the Hello Well with Danielle podcast is we're building a wellness revolution for women of color to, be able to stop just surviving and actually start thriving and putting on their oxygen mask on first. Um, I think you're married.
Oh no, I'm not.
Okay, so he's not married. My bad. I was like, I think he's married, but I'm not sure if he's married. If you were married, if you had a wife, if you had a daughter, if you have sisters or other women in your family, what's one piece of advice you'd like to give to them to really start living hello well and putting themselves first and taking their self-care as a seriousness, as a priority?
I would say the first thing is get the right information. Like be a lifelong learner. Like don't have a fixed mindset, have a growth mindset. So realize that you don't know everything, but we're in the age of information. So seek it out. Seek the people. Like if you see somebody like me, if someone you vibe with or whatnot, go seek them, introduce yourselves, or just follow their material. You can have a mentor from afar without ever meeting them. You can
Yeah.
consume the materials, watch the videos. I would say just be intentional about your health. Like take it serious. You only got one life to live. Live it up well. Live a hell of a life. Like live your life to the fullest, but without the restraints because of your health. So seek out the information. Be a lifelong learner. Lifelong student. I'm always a student. I'm still learning.
No, I appreciate that. I'm definitely a lifelong student. I think I was that child who loved encyclopedias for some god awful reason. Like that was kind of like my best friends. I'm like, oh, today, what are we? What letter are we going to learn from today? I think we're going to learn from L. Let's see what we can find out today. So
Hey,
I'm a
that's
strong believer in continuously learning because this life is a journey and it is a marathon. It is not a sprint, and there is no expiration date on growth. I'm a strong
right.
believer in that. So
Right. I like that.
I appreciate you. I am super excited that we connected. I am even more excited to try this moss. And thank you for helping us as a community to become more healthier. So I enjoy and appreciate the work that you're doing. So thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and look forward to touching bases with you soon.
All right. Other than that, y'all, I will see y'all next week and we will have another wonderful episode trying to make sure that you guys are living hella well and living life on your terms and not just surviving and thriving. Love you, and I'll see you later. Ciao. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hello Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hello Well Danny on Twitter. And if you like hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.